Ladies and gentlemen, sit down, grab some snacks, and get ready to have your mind blown, because you're watching the ups and downs of Nicolas Cage.
Yes, thank you, hello, and welcome to the ups and downs of Nicolas Cage, where every week we take a look at the best and the worst that Nicolas Cage has to offer. As always, I'm your host, Logan Mock, to take you on this journey. And today, we're looking at the first animated film on the podcast. We're looking at 2013's The Croods. The Croods was released in 2013, directed by Kirk D'Amico and Chris Sanders, and written by Chris Sanders. It made $587.2 million on a budget of $135 to $175 million. So not bad on that part. The film follows Nicolas Cage as the head honcho of a caveman family, as they must leave their comforting cave and find a new place to live after an unexpected guest drops in. This film is one of those animated films. It's usually made by DreamWorks. It's got an insanely impressive cast for how bizarre the pitch for this film must have been. Take Madagascar, has Ben Stiller, Adam Schwimmer from the Friends, and Chris Rock playing a bunch of animals who are in Africa. Or Megamind. Will Ferrell plays a big blue-headed dude who fights Brad Pitt, a superhero with a big chin. And that's basically all those films are, and yet they still got some of the most talented actors and actresses in the country to work on them. This film is no different. It has Ryan Reynolds playing a caveman. It has Nicolas Cage playing a caveman. And it has 2017 Best Picture winner Emma Stone as a caveman. I think for what you expect from this film, you won't be disappointed. As long as you don't expect anything more than a bunch of cavemen running from point A to B, then you'll be fine. For as bizarre as it is, I think Nicolas Cage's performance in this film was great. Nicolas Cage is known for playing eccentric characters, going a little off the rails in his portrayals of them. And not surprisingly, a animal-like prehistoric caveman is the perfect role for Nicolas Cage. Because when he does go crazy, like chasing an owl bat creature or a giant saber-toothed tiger, he doesn't seem out of place. And for the first time in Nicolas Cage's career, him shouting random nonsense and screaming works great. The overall design of the film is pretty good. The landscapes, the physical backgrounds and horizons that are in the film are really well done. It was nominated for Best Animated Film of that year. It lost to Frozen. I mean, it's Disney. What are you going to do? And the animal creatures, like mixing a lemur with another lemur and they're connected at the tail, or a dog and a lizard, or an owl and a cat. It's just interesting to see those new animal creations so that they can do stuff with them. However, the main focus, the cavemen, are not good, in my opinion. I don't like looking at them. It feels wrong to look at them because, I know that they're, not like Neanderthals. They're cave rock, smash, smash. And they're supposed to look a little odd, but it feels wrong to stare at them because they're these weird hulking creatures, but they've got itty bitty little hands and feet, which is really it's weird. It's weird. is basically all that there is to it. I feel gross when I have to stare at them, and eventually it does go away. You start to get used to them, but it's disturbing having to look at them for an hour and a half, and I don't like it. If I was to suggest something, I'd suggest making them more cartoony or more realistic. Because right now they've struck a balance where both aspects, the cartoony and the realistic, are bad, and it does not flow together at all. But yeah, other than that, all the performances are great. The actual camera movements in the film work really well to kind of keep you grounded. And the film itself is pretty good. That's all I can say without spoiling anything. So it's getting into the spoiler territory after an ad break.
Interested in making your own podcast but not sure where to start? Anchor makes it easy. Anchor has creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership, and best of all, it's free. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
So the film starts off with Emma Stone narrating about how much her life sucks. We eventually see her and understand why her life sucks. Her head looks like a football, and her body looks like several oblong triangles glued together. And I don't like it. Again, I'm getting off topic. She's talking about how her family has all these rules and that they have to stay inside. They can't touch animals. They can't provoke anything. And how they're the last family left on the earth. That's a little concerning for how the bloodline's going to get passed on. But I'm choosing not to think about that. We meet the rest of the family. There's Grug. That's Nicolas Cage. He's the father. I forgot to mention that Eep is Emma Stone's character. She is his daughter. There's Crank, I believe, or Cruck, or Thruck, or Throck, something along the lines. That is Eep's sister. Nope, that's Eep's brother. Eep's sister is named Sandy, and she's like a weird little evil demon creature. She's growling a lot. She's running around. It's basically The Incredibles. A weird, energetic younger child, a boring and angsty older one, and a foolish, headstrong middle child. And the parents are a mother who just wants what's best for everyone, and the father is a big, hulking brute of a person. And of course, there's the wife. I forget her name, but she's there. She serves very little to the story. And of course, in order to make sure that the adults watching the film with their children have something, they got some classic in-law jokes. Grug counts the family members multiple times in the film, and he counts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and he smiles and hears his wife's mom, "I'm still alive," and he's like, "Oh, 6. Because, in-laws, forget about them. I don't need no stupid mother of my wife talking to me. Then they start to go hunting, and we see how hard their life is, because just for one big egg for their one breakfast is a whole ordeal. They spend the entire day running around trying to catch it. They're moving at insane speeds. When they finally do get the egg back in their cave, they all drink from it, and Grug gets a single drop of egg yolk. And he's like, "It's all right. I ate breakfast last week," showing how, I gotta take all the burdens of the family. I gotta be the big, strong man. I gotta do nothing but work for my family's safety. And then Eep is being annoying. He's like, oh, I never get to go outside, even though I almost died multiple times today. I want to go outside again in the night where I have no protection. And her father tells the whole family story about a teddy bear who left outside in the night without protection and died. And we see that all the cave walls are covered in the same marking, showing that he's told that story a lot. And the cave is pretty big, which sort of contradicts her earlier statement that the cave is so small and cramped and dark. There's a fair amount of light going in because we can see everything that's happening. And she has her own ledge to sleep on, so she's clearly not that struggling for space. I don't know what she's complaining about. She really seems like an unappealing character, and I hate her, and the way she looks. But regardless, she leaves the cave. She climbs up to the top of a cliff because she heard a noise. And then we get to meet the handsome one, Ryan Reynolds. He plays a character called Guy or Die or Guide. Something along those lines. Again, they should have picked better names. But he has a pet sloth named Belt, and it's named Belt because it acts as a belt for most of the time. And Ryan Reynolds is like, yo, there's so much you don't know. I mean, look at this fire. It exists, and I can make it and control it. And he's talking about like, hey, I'm going to go to the promised land where I can live forever. And if you ever want to go there, just blow this horn. So she gets the horn. She goes back to her family, and they're like all protective of her because she went outside where she's not supposed to. And they break the horn and symbolically break her connection with them or her dreams of being outside in the real world. Something like that. I don't really want to give this film too much analytical thought because it's called the Croods, and the main character's name is Grug. But eventually, what Ryan Reynolds said about the end of the world happening starts to happen. The earthquakes are happening, there's volcanoes erupting, and eventually their cave gets destroyed. And that's unfortunate because, you know, the cave was their safety. That was what Grug always said. Like, hey, yo, the safety is where we're safe. And the safety is where we're safe is the cave. And then they start to go through the forest. And they're unprepared because they've never seen anything like it. And they start to get beat up by some monkeys. They are about to die until Eep plays the little seashell horn that she found, and Ryan Reynolds comes rushing back to save her, and they have a weird romantic moment, which is offset by her weird football head, and her teeth in her mouth are like so unnatural, and she looks evil. She looks possessed. She bothers me so much that I can't begin to talk about it, but I'm going to be talking about it the entire podcast. And he helps them through, and then the next majority of the movie is him showing them how to survive in this new world that they've never seen before, and Grug being upset, like, ooga booga, I am losing my family's trust because I'm sticking to my old conservative ideals about how we got to stay put and be safe, and these new ideas are scaring me. And Ryan Reynolds is all confrontational and saying like, hey, I know change is scary, but this is involving the safety of your family, and if we work together, then we can actually, you know, survive this and not live through it. He starts naming a bunch of stuff. Like, he makes shoes. He makes better clothing for them. He gives them haircuts and makes their hair look better. Doesn't work on Eep, though, because she's still a disgusting monstrosity that looks